Allison, welcome to the Getting Married Multiculturally podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you for letting me participate.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about proposals because
hmm
most specifically getting engaged during the holiday season, which statistically they say that's the busiest season of people,
hmm
get engaged during the holiday season for some reason.
Yeah.
There's some ideas that they say why that happens, but so that's why we're here to talk about the proposals, the engagements.
Yep.
And Allison, you are an event planner. You plan weddings and proposals.
hmm
So I'm really excited to hear all of your tips and ideas that you have for us and for the listeners. But before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, where do you live, and a little bit
Yeah.
about your business? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So my name's Allison Whitaker. I'm newly married. I was married just over a year ago, in October. So I live here in Scottsdale, Arizona with my husband, Corey. But originally I'm from Southern California. So I grew up in Southern California my entire life until I went to college and I went to the U of A. So that's how I moved out to Arizona. And I'm actually half Cuban. So my dad was born in Cuba and came over here when he was 5 years old. So I totally get the multicultural thing. And it's something that really hits home with me as well, just, coming from my background with my dad and my grandma. So that's a little bit about me. And then as far as the one occasion goes, I do specialize in proposal and wedding planning. But I can do all events like birthdays, bridal showers, bachelorette parties, anything you can think of that you need help planning, I can definitely help with. So that's me in a nutshell.
Mhm. That's cool. Well, congratulations for your wedding and for your
Thank
marriage.
you. Thank you.
Has it been the first year?
It's been great. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been super fun. I'm so thankful to have such a wonderful husband who's
Yeah.
so supportive. This is a new business venture for me. So I just started in April this past year. So he's been super supportive and
Yeah.
super helpful. So yeah, it's been great.
That's that's very exciting. Yeah. It's always
Yeah.
exciting to start a business that you feel
Mhm.
passionate about, and especially in industry like weddings and events, there's just so much around these type of events that you have to think about and plan on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And
Yeah.
I'm not new to the event world, just weddings in particular, but throughout my entire life, I mean, I'm only 25, but throughout my entire life, I've been planning things,
Mm-hmm.
events. And my first job out of college was working for a university planning events. And then I kind of transitioned into like the interior design world. So did some planning in that aspect. So I kind of now I meshed interior design and planning into one.
I see.
So
Okay. That's
that's kind of how
cool.
it got started.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So you mentioned that your grandpa is or your dad is from Cuba?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. My
Have
dad was born in Cuba and lived
Okay.
there until he was 5. And his father, so my biological grandpa, he passed away in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
But they were able to, him and my dad and my grandma were able to get a visa to come over here. So
Yeah.
hmm
Have you been there?
I have not, no.
Not
My
yet.
dad hasn't been back either, but my
Oh, okay.
grandma has because they still have family out there. But it's a goal to go back, especially while we're allowed to. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
see.
Yep. I know it's my one of my dreams to go there. I heard that it's beautiful, so hopefully I'll get to
Mhm.
go there sometime too.
Yeah, I've seen pictures and it looks beautiful. I've
Yeah.
heard that it's like stuck in the 50s and that kind of all their cars and all the buildings, everything just kind of looks like it's in a time warp. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, so let's get into some questions about proposals, okay?
Yeah.
So first I wanted to ask you, how do people or couples would know that it's a right time to get proposed? When do you think that the man or the woman would feel like, okay, our relationship is at the point where I think that it's expected to happen?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, it's per couple basis, but I definitely think, it's the right time when you both have talked about it and you both like agree that it's a good time to make that next step because I think sometimes people don't always realize like how big of a step proposing is, because you're setting up your future to get married, and marriage is a big deal that shouldn't be taken lightly. So I definitely think communication and making sure you're both on the same page before that happens is obviously a great way for the other person to say yes. And just like a really good way to set up your future in the best way possible. Because I am a woman of faith, so I also believe in like praying about things that are, big life changes like that. So I think praying about it, and again, just talking and communicating.
So you think that it's better if the couple, like you said, talk about it before, and I feel like even for men, it's kind of like this security of, okay, when I pop the question, she's gonna say yes because we kind of talked about it already. It's not a surprise that we never even mentioned wedding or marriage, and now I'm gonna ask her to propose and maybe she's gonna say no because we never talked about this.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, exactly, you hit the nail on the head with that. I think having that security, like you said, of knowing that like, oh yeah, he or she is going to say yes is really important. I think one thing you can do to keep the surprise factor, if you have been talking about it a lot, my husband did this. He didn't take me ring shopping. He just stalked my Pinterest page. So that kind of, made it a surprise because we never went shopping together. So I didn't know like when to expect it. I just knew that we were both like on the same page about it happening sooner rather than later. So if anyone's, looking to keep that element of surprise, but also making sure that, you're on the same page, I think surprising her by not taking her ring shopping is a good idea.
Definitely. Yeah. I love that idea. So anybody who wants any type of clues, they should just make a Pinterest board and maybe leave it open accidentally on your laptop or something.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know how he found mine. I guess it wasn't on private or something.
Do you have maybe any other ideas? How should they know kind of what is my partner's dream proposal? How she wants to get proposed? Is there any other tips that you can give to the guys on how to find out what the girl's dream proposal would be?
Definitely. I think obviously if you're at the point of getting engaged, your significant other better than anyone else at that point. Well, maybe not better than mom and dad, but you know them pretty well. So I think just remembering, the little things and what really makes them happy. So for example, I just helped plan a proposal back in October for one of my best friends, and her now fiance, and I were kind of just chatting about, like what she would love. And she's always loved fall, so we did it in October. And she's always loved pumpkins, so we incorporated pumpkins into it as well. So I think just remembering the little details that your significant other loves and figuring out a way to incorporate that into the big day is just a really great way to kind of bring it all together.
That's a great idea. So it's kind of ties into how should the woman or the person who wants to get, be proposed, or how do you say that? Be proposed?
Engaged.
Yeah. To kind of give those little hints to their partner, or I'm ready. I'm ready for the question. Is there any ideas for that?
I mean, you can just be honest. It doesn't hurt to be, say like, I think we're at this point, like, let's make, I know sometimes girls, we feel like the guys are taking forever, but almost always it's so worth the wait. So I don't feel like we should have to pressure them so much. I feel like, they're either saving for a beautiful ring to get you or just waiting for like the right moment. I know a lot of guys that I've worked with as well, they have all these ideas and plans that they like are really looking forward to. And sometimes it's just about finding the right time. So I don't think you necessarily need to drop like super crazy hints. I think, again, just going back to like having discussions about it and letting them know that you're ready is a hint enough, and they'll kind of take the reins from there.
Yeah, I agree. I was just talking with a couple, and they said that they planned on getting married. They even talked about, I think they went ring shopping together too. So the girl knew that it's coming up, then the ring is bought too. And still the proposal, the effort that her boyfriend put together was so emotional for her, even if she knew about it ahead of time. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I think there needs to be an element of a surprise. I mean, everyone's different, but having that moment where you're like in absolute shock and like you did not see it coming is like the best feeling. So, and everyone deserves that. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
the more
as
you can wait.
yes. So as we're getting into the holiday season now, we're gonna have Christmas, and then researchers says that also there's a lot of proposal during the New Year's Eve or even Valentine's Day, we want to stretch out the holiday season that far down. So I wanted to ask you if you have any specific tips and ideas how to pop the question maybe on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or morning. If
Yeah.
there's somebody out there listening and they're prepared, they have a ring, they want to propose on Christmas when all the families are together, or for whatever reason they want to do that on that day, maybe just share
Yeah,
some ideas for them.
definitely. Yeah, I was thinking about this a little bit this week. I thought it would be super cute on Christmas. I'm sure people have seen this happen, but where you have like a really large box wrapped. And so you give them as a present and you tell them to open it. And then inside the box is another box that's wrapped. And they keep having to open and open until they get to the last box. And I thought that'd be super cute if it was the ring box because it's like that huge element of surprise. You don't know what's coming. They're probably hoping for it, but they don't know. So I thought that would be cute. And then, of course, you've always seen like the little puppies. Getting a puppy on Christmas is
Yeah.
like one of the cutest things. And then having like the little collar that says like, "Will you marry me?" That's always a cute element too. But again, I think it just goes back to knowing your significant other and what would be meaningful to them, and then just kind of playing it up from there. But
That's
those are a
true.
few ideas for Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. What they know. And I also know that I would like to say there are two major categories when it comes to what the girl likes or how she wants to be proposed to. Some girls like to have it in a private settings when there's nobody
Hmm.
around them, and so they can be themselves. And some people like it out there publicly, maybe on a street, in a busy street or a park, or
Yeah.
maybe they dream about having all their families and friends around them when he
Hmm.
proposes. So do you have any tips and ideas for those type of settings, or if somebody's planning a proposal and that those type of categories?
Yeah, of course. So I think one thing that you can always do to kind of get the best of both worlds with that is if you keep the actual proposal intimate with just you and your significant other, but then you plan like a surprise dinner or brunch, whatever, the timeline is that day, and then have all the family and friends there for that. That gives, you two the moment, but then everyone else the immediate celebration after, like seeing the ring, taking additional photos. So that's always my go to option for someone that kind of wants the best of both worlds. But again, I think it really just depends on the people and, like you said, what they prefer. And I think you'll come to figure that out, whether your significant other tells you directly or whether like close family and friends kind of give you a hint. But I think you'll know. But again, I think planning a little something after the moment is a really great way to kind of get that best of both worlds thing.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I I didn't send you this question, but I was just now talking about it, thinking about
Yeah.
it. When do you think it's a good time or a need to hire a proposal planner?
Mhm.
Especially, I'm thinking now here if somebody would want to plan a really big public proposal, has to make sure all the family and friends are there. Maybe they want to do some
Mhm.
choreography. I have seen those type of proposals too, or get some scenery ready. So who should hire a proposal planner, and when, what point of, and just how to
Yeah.
do all of that.
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think ultimately, on your big day when you're proposing, you really don't want to be stressed out. You really, like for the guy or girl, whoever's proposing, you really just want to think about what you're going to say, what you're going to wear, and like how they're going to react, you know? So I always tell people, like, if you feel like you can't manage those feelings on top of planning something, then you should, hire a professional or have family and friends help out. The great thing with professionals is, we really do a great job of narrowing down all the details. Like, does she want her nails done? Does she need hair and makeup done? Do you need a professional photographer? And like with me, I offer reaching out to all of those vendors if needed. And then something else I specialize in is setting up or styling the day of. So if you have like a lot of decor that you want, like a cute little area set up, I can do all of that. So again, I think it depends on how large of a scale you're going for. Just for example, another proposal I did this past May, he had a majority of his ideas already, but then I came in like halfway through, like a month out, to kind of fine tune all of the details. And then I kind of convinced him that we should do some more like setup and little details here and there. And he agreed. So I think, I don't know, it's really fun to get all of those little details in there, because it's a really special day. I almost feel like it's not more special than a wedding day, but it's more of a surprise, obviously, because you really don't see it coming. So it's just a different feeling. Like, your wedding day is approaching, you know that all that goes into it, but you really have no idea what your proposal is going to be like. So
it's almost like it's like you set up this momentum of getting married, with the engagement. It's kind of like the starting point,
Yeah. I mean, and especially with social media these days, of course, you're looking at all of these super over the top and grand things. But I think we always have to remember too, like, it's just about like the love that you have for each other. So at the end of the day, like, they'll be happy. But of course, it is fun to play it up and do something big, especially because you love each other and you feel like, they deserve that. So
yeah, definitely. You brought up a really good point that because I was only thinking about, as far as engagement proposal planner goes, that you need a contact with the person who is about to propose, but you really need to make sure that the other person is ready. Like you said, having her nails done, for example, or having the right outfit on, or her hair done. Nails are important because then girls would like to take picture of their ring immediately, right? That's if somebody's like wondering, like, why is that nails important? That's why it is.
totally important.
So how do you do that in like a sneaky way to, somebody like a stranger just text you like, hey, can you do your nails tomorrow? How does that work?
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think those little elements, you definitely, like, even as the planner, I rely on the family and close friends of whoever's getting proposed to kind of figure that out. Because yes, that would be weird if I like randomly send a text like, oh, you should probably get your nails done. They're like, who are you? Yeah. So it's definitely like close friends and family, and you kind of try to make it like, if they regularly get their nails done, it's another day. But if they don't, then yeah, you have to come up with a clever way to be like, hey, why don't you get your nails done sometime soon? So there's a lot of work that goes into those little details too. But it can be fun. So
that's so true.
You just got to get creative.
Yeah. So let's get back to a holiday season a little bit.
Yeah.
You had this great idea to have a big present, and then hiding a ring inside. Do you have maybe some idea for New Year's Eve? How could they incorporate the proposal?
Yeah, I am a fan of New Year's Eve proposals, mostly because my husband proposed on New Year's
really?
Eve.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm a fan. Yeah, it was really fun. But I was picturing the other day, I don't know if you've seen High School Musical. I mean, probably who hasn't. Well, there's like an opening scene and it's on New Year's, and
Okay.
they're in like a lodge, like cabin. And so I just picture a New Year's Eve proposal and like the snow kind of in that sort of atmosphere. So I could just see it happening in front of like close family and friends, like as you're watching the ball drop, and, maybe you like go in for a quick kiss, and then you look at them and you're like, hi, like, I love you.
Mm.
Let's get married. So something just intimate and holiday-esque like that in the snow in the mountains would be really pretty.
Yeah. Should it happen like at midnight or should it be like after or before? How
I
did
think
your
it
husband
could go
propose?
either way. He proposed before midnight, so we could
Okay.
kind of like hang around and stay up a little bit late after to celebrate. But I think it could go either way because typically on
Mm-hmm.
New Year's, you're out pretty late. So
Mm-hmm.
and then you could celebrate the next day. But again, I think it goes back to just knowing, I always say this, but knowing your significant other and what is really true to them. I wouldn't say that, as a business owner who plans proposals, I wouldn't say that I always necessarily come up with like the entire idea. What I really specialize is, figuring out what the idea is and helping fine tune it and refine it and make sure, again, all of those little details come into play because it really should be the significant other, coming up with what the plan is. So you might think like, oh, your ideas are kind of boring, but it's
Mm-hmm.
because most of the time I'm just working around what ideas you already have because I really think that's important.
Yes. That's true. That's the starting point of finding out what she likes or he likes and then what connects the two of you that would be, significant or important for them. If somebody is planning like a very personal, private proposal, just the two of them. We're talking here with a lot of multicultural couples, with a lot of couples who maybe are in a long distance relationship. So I'm imagining here maybe one of them comes to their partner's home or they're waiting for them at the airport. I have seen some cute airport
Yeah.
proposals which is like pretty quick, like I just got here. But there's
Yeah.
just so many cute ones. Do you have any maybe advice or tips for that type of proposal?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think proposals should happen in person. So
Mm-hmm.
I think you should get to wherever their destination is if you can. But I would say I thought it'd be super cute, like even like you kind of mentioned at the airport, if you propose like, you know, in the car or right after you get out of the car and you're like, we're going to the airport, and then you go on like a super cool like mini vacation together
Oh
right after you
yeah.
propose. That would be really fun. Or maybe you're going on an airplane already, so you're on the airplane and it
Mm-hmm.
happens on the airplane, and then again you still go on to like a really cool little destination. I thought that would be cute, but I even if you're in long distance relationships, I still think it should happen in person, and you can make it a good day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's definitely true. That would be a little bit weird, although I can see why some people would find that important for whatever reason that they just want to propose on, I don't know, on Skype or something.
yeah, I
I
mean, do what you got to do, but
Yeah, it's better to wait, right?
yes, it's worth the wait.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that you put a lot of meaning into what is gonna happen after the proposal. So, you pop the questions and then now what? They're just standing there and what are we gonna do now? You absolutely are probably happy and excited and you want to share it with everybody or maybe not, but what I feel like for you as a planner, it's very important to not just plan the leading into the proposal and the actual popping the question, but also what is going to
Mhm.
happen after that. Go on a trip or go have dinner with friends and family. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I definitely think so because I think you are so excited, and most of the time, all you want to do is share with the people you love. So yeah, I definitely think an element afterwards, whether it's a surprise engagement party, a surprise dinner, like you said, going on a trip. Um, I think those are just really great ways to kind of, it's almost like I know a lot of people these days have engagement parties. So it's kind of like doing that right away. And
Yeah.
I think it's just really fun to be able to do that with your
Mm-hmm.
loved ones and
Mm-hmm.
share the joy that you have with
Mm-hmm.
them. So,
Definitely. What would you, how should, when should they publicly announce that they're engaged? Or I don't really know what the question is. But they see all of these announcements maybe on Facebook or Instagram, and they feel like, should I put that up on Facebook that we're engaged, or should we wait until we tell some people in person that we find it important to tell them in person? Or
mhm.
what would your advice be on that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember just back to my own engagement, like the first people I told before posting were like my immediate family and my really close friends that I wanted involved in either my bridal party or just my wedding in general. I remember I FaceTimed all of them. I think that's a really special thing to do because you can show them the ring and just they can see the excitement on your face. So I think there is an element of importance there, just making sure that you do tell the people that are closest to you first. um, but everyone's different. Sometimes you just get so excited you might want to just post right away, but I think those really close to you appreciate you telling them your big news before sharing it with the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. What is your advice? Because I know that you also plan weddings. What's
Mhm.
what's the like the healthy distance between getting engaged and starting to plan a wedding? Or should couples maybe just wait a little bit and enjoy their engagement and start planning a couple of weeks after? Or especially if they get engaged on Christmas Eve, and they want to get married in the summertime, which most couples like to get married on the summertime. Is that even enough time to plan a wedding, or should they, wait until the next year? What's the timeline advice for you?
Yeah, of course. Like ideally in a planner's perfect world, I'd say 8 to 10 months would be like a great timeline for us. But of course, it just really depends on the couple and, when they end up getting engaged and when they were like planning on getting married. I know, for example, 2020 is like a huge year for weddings. So, there might be those couples that get engaged towards the end of this year and they want a quick turnaround because they want the year 2020. So I think, as a planner, we roll with the punches and we do what we have to do to make a fabulous event. So we'll make it happen. But I think ideally 8 to 10 months for your own personal sanity is a great
Mm-hmm.
rule of thumb too. So
That's a great advice. That's probably true. And yeah, 2020, it's a pretty significant year. Yeah.
mhm.
Probably for having babies too.
Yes,
I
totally.
heard,
Yep. I have so
yeah.
many friends that are having babies
Oh
soon.
my
So
gosh, that's
it's
crazy.
crazy.
Is there
hmm
any like specific idea for 2020, even if it's a proposal, since we're talking about proposals, but anything, even wedding planning,
Yeah.
um other than just wanting to have that date, but anything specific to that year that they can maybe grab some ideas from.
Yeah, I know people are really honing in on like the roaring 20s. So like Great Gatsby is going to be like a huge theme this year. So I just envision kind of like a lot of sparkle, a lot of, like feathers. I've seen a lot of new like bridal gowns that are coming out with like feather looks. So I just really think that people are going to play up the 20s this whole year. I think you're going to see that theme consistently. Um, just kind of in different ways and different elements, whether you go full on roaring 20s or you kind of just scale it back a little bit and use a few of those elements. So
That's
I think
very
that's going to be a
cool.
big one.
That's
hmm
interesting. That's very cool. Now I just want to go on Pinterest and check those out. That's
I
so
know.
cool.
You can be on Pinterest for hours.
I know. Probably. So are there any colors, or I'm thinking maybe gold, silver, white?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, more of like the mixed metals and yeah, those just true whites and blacks, even kind of like black tie affair vibe. I could see that being really popular.
That's very
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
be fun.
So let's talk a little bit about multicultural couples, multicultural proposals. Since most of my listeners are from mixed cultures, they come from mixed cultures. Um, what would your advice be if the traditions are different, if even proposal traditions are different? In some cultures, asking for parents' approval or a blessing is very important. Um, what is your advice on how to respect your partner's culture, how to make sure that you are doing the right things? If for the girl or for the guy, it's important to ask the parents. That's something I feel like it's important to find out before, so you make sure that
hmm
everything is going in the right way. So, do you have any advices for multicultural couples?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but just really like respecting their culture and kind of knowing what their background is and where they come from. And I think overall, just respecting people's parents is a good rule of thumb. So just really figuring out like what would be, um, memorable and respectful to them. Is something that you should just follow as a general guideline, whether it's multicultural or not. Um, I think every parent would love a blessing, or at least, it could be simple, but just a phone call like, hi, like I have, this planned out and I would love to ask your daughter, son hand in marriage. Like, are you okay with that? Can I have your blessing? Like, I think any parent who's raised a child their entire lives would just really appreciate that. So I think definitely respecting the parents and their beliefs is so important. So I think, again, just knowing your significant other, you'll kind of know how to, decipher what that is. But yeah, I would always ask. Doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
they could say no, but if you and your significant other still feel like it's the right thing to do, then you can still go ahead with it. But I don't think hurting asks or
Yeah.
talking backwards. Asking hurts. I haven't had coffee today. That's my problem.
It's okay. There are a lot of people listening here. Their English is not their first language, so I always love to just ramble around. It's fun.
Yeah, so
But
fun. Like I'm probably talking in circles. It's fine.
yeah. Speaking of language, do you maybe have any tips? Like, I'm just thinking now, call your partner's parents and ask them that what
Mhm.
if they don't speak their languages? I wonder how could you do that? Maybe
Yeah,
a
I
planner
mean,
is a good
maybe
idea.
type a letter. And I mean,
Yeah,
if it's like completely different, like Chinese, and you don't want to write the
yeah.
little characters, then like I think Word just does that for you. Change the characters into what you wanted to say. I think there's always a way to communicate like the human language as a whole. I think, just your facial expressions, your body language, those are ways to communicate with people. So I think there's a way to figure it out. You just got to be a little creative sometimes if there's a barrier. Like write a letter. I think that's cute. If you need to bring a translator, you could do that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think there's
Maybe
different things.
send a
Sending a
cute.
little present. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I love those. It's almost like a proposal planning. Right?
To the parents. Yeah.
Yeah. I love those. Those are so cute. I heard that many times women are just not happy about the way they got proposed or they got engaged or how the question was popped. Why do you think that is? And I'm sure that the solution for that would be hiring a proposal planner, first of all. But why do you think women are so unhappy with the result?
Yeah, I mean, I think women just have a tendency to have high expectations for themselves, and then I think that translates onto other people. I know I do that myself. So I think it's a women tendency characteristic to just set a high expectation. And I think we're more so than guys, the ones that are on Pinterest or on Instagram, seeing all of these extravagant things. And so then when you picture it happening for yourself, you kind of just picture it happening that sort of way. So I think that's the big reason maybe we get unhappy about proposals or certain things. But I think if you're open and honest with your significant other and your family and friends, and you kind of set the expectation of what you're hoping for or what you like, I think it will go great. So, and I think you have to remember too, like the guys, girls, whoever are under so much pressure, and they're wanting to make that moment special for you. So, think about how much they went through to help make that possible. So I think you always have to kind of take things with a grain of salt at times and remember, like, it doesn't always have to be this grandiose thing if that's, not what happens. It's just really about you two and, the life that you're going to build together. I think that's what's most important.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And just imagine how nervous they are, they probably nervous if you're going to say yes, or nervous if they're going to do it and how they imagined, and plus how you imagine. So it's, yeah, definitely a lot of pressure. And,
Totally.
I think that as soon as couples start planning their wedding, the proposal is just going to be a story that you share. And, down the line, it's just going to be something fun to share no matter how it turned out. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Would
I
you?
think
Yeah.
it's always great no matter what,
Yeah.
because it's about you two, and yeah, it's about, again, your love and setting up your life for your future. That's really what a proposal is about. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Would you still recommend for guys maybe to propose even if they have been talking about getting married, the couple, maybe they're even talking about when they're going to get married and they started to plan the wedding, but there was not really a proposal that happened, like a significant moment. They just jumped into planning a wedding. Would you advise them that they should still plan a proposal even if it's not a big one to surprise their partner, or
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think everyone loves surprises for the most part and loves that excitement factor. So I think if you can, I think that's a great thing to do. I kind of think about, I don't know if you watch The Bachelor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you watch The Bachelor? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Jojo, and what's his name? I don't know, whoever her fiance is.
Yes.
So they got engaged on the show, and then
Yeah.
they've been dating for a couple years now, and he re-proposed with like a whole new ring and like a whole new idea. And his reasoning behind it was he wanted her to know like how much, he has grown to love her over the past couple of years, and how much, he wanted to kind of make it their own thing since it was like televised and broadcasted. He really wanted it to be like intimate. And I thought that was like a really cool and very nice thing for him to do, because she wasn't expecting it. They were planning their wedding. They were actually like looking at a wedding venue, I think, when he did that. So I think that just really goes back to like having an element of surprise and just really showing your significant other how much you love them.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. I love the meaning behind this. That really just, especially if I think if couples are together for years, maybe even 10 years, and you're still not
Mm-hmm.
married, and it's a good reminder to kind of talk about your relationship. Proposal is a time that when you can reflect on your relationship and talk about how you guys grown together. And yeah, I love that. That's a great idea. As we talked about this reproposal, I was just thinking about how women these days love to be equal with the man and
Mm-hmm.
feel that they are valued in the same way, even during the wedding day and wedding traditions, but also the proposal. Some women love to, I'm not necessarily saying that they want to propose to the man, but what if they also want to give that back to the man, and let's say that he proposes and now she feels like, I really want to propose to him too. Is that something you would recommend or suggest to some couples?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not tradition, but I
Yeah.
mean, we're in almost 2020 and traditions are almost like out the window, I feel
Yeah.
like. So one thing that came to mind that could be cute, but not like over the top or too non-traditional is when you are going throughout your wedding planning process and it's time to buy your fiance's ring for him. It could be cute to kind of surprise him with like a certain design of the ring. And then maybe like take him to dinner and like give him the ring there in like an intimate setting and let him know how much you care about him and love him. I think that would be like a really cute thing, to kind of present him with like his ring that he's going to have forever. Um, I think that would be a really subtle way to do it, but also kind of, give it the same sort of effect, but not be like too out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't overshine his proposal.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You don't want
man,
yours
yours
to be
was
forgotten
better than
about.
mine. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for the most part, most men are kind of more like laid back and don't like all the frills and, things that us girls love. So I think for them, they probably wouldn't want something super crazy and out there in front of all these people. They probably would just appreciate, even if you're at your house and you're like, I have a gift for you, and you bring them a little ring box and it has the ring in it. I'm sure like that would just be the icing on the cake for them.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Yeah, so I think that this is pretty much all I was planning on asking you, but do you feel like there's something that we forgot to mention? Maybe talk a little bit about the proposal planners and why is their job so significant, and when is it, we already talked about when is a good time to
Hmm.
hire them, but any final advice that you have for couples and those who are planning to propose during the holiday season?
Yeah, I mean, I think my final advice is just again to remember like who your significant other is and what would be best for them. So if, they want something super crazy in public, like a proposal on a big screen at a football game, or if they want something more intimate, just the two of you at dinner, like just really remember like what they care about, what their core values are. I think you can't go wrong if you know those things. And I don't think they would ever be upset if you planned a proposal according to that part of their personality. So I think that's important. And I feel like it's never a bad idea to seek professional help or help from friends and family when you're planning something so big, because other people will always have great ideas as well and kind of help you again, just like refocus or fine tune little details that you're not thinking about, because us girls, like the details matter to us. So I think it's important that you have all of those
Mm-hmm.
under wraps and worked out. And I think more than anything, I always tell whoever I'm working with that hiring a photographer, I think, is one of the most important things you can do for that event, because it's something you want to remember forever. And when you have it captured by a wonderful photographer who's going to get you beautiful images, that's something that you'll have forever and you would never regret. So I think being able to capture it is one of the most important things.
That's a great point. Yep, that is very important. Even if it's a private proposal, you can
Hmm.
still, put the photographer behind a couch or a bush or something.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
so
they know how to
important.
work their angles. I know
Yeah.
the iPhones are turning out to be pretty great these days, but I promise nothing is better than a photographer who knows how to get good angles and,
Yeah.
can get that like shock factor right when you get down on your knee. And it's something just so special. And having that captured forever is the best
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. It brings you back to that feeling when every time you look at that
Mhm.
photo. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can go one step ahead of that, I recommend video as well. Videos are a huge thing these days. So getting a videographer to take like a 30 to 1 minute,
Yeah.
segment of that. Obviously, they're filming for longer, but if they can just make you a little video short, that's wonderful. So,
Yeah. That's great. So I
mhm,
was also thinking if they're like planning they're thinking about what should I say? What should my
mhm.
proposal sort of say speech be? Or do you help with that too? Or encourage
Um,
to come up
I
with anything?
haven't, yeah, I haven't yet, just because I think that goes back to it being like personal, but I always remind them like, look, you don't have to worry about anything but what you're going to say and what you're going to wear. So really just focus on those two elements and like I'll have the rest covered. That way they can put like a lot of time and energy into thinking about what to say. I know sometimes they completely black out in the moment because they're just so anxious and nervous. My husband, he like literally said two words and he was like, I promise I had something like all ready to go. And I was like, it's fine.
That's so
So,
cute.
you don't know what's going to happen when you get there because you might be so nervous. But if you can have something prepared, or I even suggest like writing it down. That way, if you can't verbalize it when you're there, you could read it to them afterwards.
That's a great idea.
You're like,
Even
this
just
is what
keep
I
it.
was going to say.
Yeah. Or just keep it for a memory. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's so sweet.
totally.
Yeah. Do proposal planners, is that common that they would jump into planning the couple's wedding also? That's the same planner?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely depends, like how the experience goes for you and the couple. Like, I think one of the biggest relationships you have when planning a wedding is with your planner and with your photographer, because those are just people that you spend a lot of like more intimate time with. So I think it can transition seamlessly from planning a proposal to planning a wedding. I mean, that's ideal for me and for hopefully my couples. But again, I think it just depends. It's all situational. But I think as a planner, that's what we'd like to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think, Allison, we came to the end of our episode. It was so much good stuff. I
So
just have
fun.
to write them all down because I think listeners gonna love it. And if they have any questions from you that they want to ask you more, or if there's
Yeah.
anybody in Arizona or wherever else you are serving couples that they want to maybe find you and use your services, where can they find you and contact you?
Yeah, of course. So I'm on Instagram. I know that's a popular one these days. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and I also have a website, and everything's just under the One Occasion. So if you look that up, you should find it. But yeah, that's where I am. So you can set up and chat with me. I have like an app that you can do that, and yeah, it's really fun.
And I saw that so you're based in Arizona, Scottsdale, and I
Yes.
saw that you also have California on your bio. Is that
Yeah,
do?
because I'm from
Mhm.
California, I still have a lot of really great connections. I'm from Southern California, so mostly there, but I can do anything anywhere. I mean, these days you can travel by plane, train, car, whatever.
True.
So I'm always down to travel, and it's exciting to get to go to new places. So yeah, wherever you are in the world, I'm here.
Mhm. Okay. I love this. Thank you so much, Allison, for coming
Of
to the
course.
podcast. It was a lot of fun. And I'll put all
It
the
was so
links
much
in the
fun.
show notes so people can find
Okay.
you. Okay. Thank you
Thank you.
so
Thank you
much.
so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was so fun. Your questions were awesome. So
Thank
good
you.
job.